All right, so Josh, they fought 30 teams in 30 days, and we're talking about the Charlotte Hornets. They finished 10th in the East. That's not so great because all the bottom like five teams in the East all finished like three games apart, so they could easily finish last. But they finished 10th. What can John do with this team to help them get into the playoffs? They couldn't do it with Kemba. What do they need?
First of all, that Charlotte team last year, Charlotte maybe did a little bit better than we all expected. They wasn't making the playoffs with Kemba. So, without Kemba, all of us thought they probably about to be the last seed. Like you say, they were the 10th seed. That's not a big deal because, like you said, most of the teams, that bottom six in the East was like 5 games separated between all five, six of those teams. So it's not impressive, but it's still a little bit better than we thought. But Charlotte is just that team. Charlotte has been in a constant loop. Like I feel like Charlotte is the place where talent goes to die. They always bringing in guys in from the draft, these high draft picks. They don't perform. They sign free agents. They throw money at guys like Nicholas Bottom, Bismack Biyombo. They always throw money at guys. They don't perform. It's like the place where talent goes to die. Charlotte is just in this constant loop of just constant rebuild. I feel like it's about time Jordan does a change. They're going up the number 3 pick in the draft, and this is very scary for Charlotte because you would think, all right, maybe they have a shot at Wiseman, maybe even LaMelo, Devontae Graham. He had a good season, but I think they would be good with Melo. I think Rozier needs to be traded somewhere else. I don't think Rozier should be in the starting lineup. I think they should get either Melo. If they have a chance at Wiseman, you can't pass on Wiseman at number 3. You don't have a big man. Cody Zeller should have been out of the league 2 years ago. He's not consistent. He's not reliable. I think they need Wiseman. He may be available if Golden State doesn't trade that pick, and even if they keep it, I think they're gonna take Wiseman. But if they don't, Charlotte, you have to take Wiseman. You have or Lamelo. But I mean, I think this team should sign some free agents, man. There's too many young guys on this team. Yes, Pete. I think the only guy in that starting lineup right now who I think should be a starter like going forward is PJ Washington. It's the only guy. Miles Bridges, yes, he's been all right, but at that 3 spot, Miles Bridges is not the answer. He doesn't score enough for that 3 spot. He doesn't play enough defense for that 3 spot. The three spot is where most of the best players in the NBA are. That's the Jason Tatum's. That's the Paul George. That's the Kawhi's. That's the LeBron James. That's the Kevin Durant. Miles Bridges, he isn't on that level. Terry Rozier, he needs to move. So I think Charlotte they'll have some cap space this year. Nicholas Bottom, this is his last year on their contracts. I think he's going to pick up his option. That's about 27 mil, but they should have about $45 million in cap space. I think they should go after guys like maybe a Trez, maybe a Evan Fournier, a Dragic, if those guys are available. I think they should throw money at those guys, and even a Rondo. I think they need to bring in some veterans on this team. Who's the last good veteran that this team had? Yes, they had Tony Parker,
Tony
but
Parker.
shit, he ain't do nothing for them. He was all. I think they should go after like a Rondo, a Trez, and maybe like a Evan Fournier. Like I think those are some good options that could probably get them in the playoffs in the East. They
Uh,
like Charlotte is not going to be a championship team for the next probably 7 years. The most they're fighting their spot is between 7 and 8. And I think if they bring in some free agents and get rid of some of those young guys who's on that team and bring in some free agents, I think they'll be able to get one of those spots. But the ceiling is very low for Charlotte.
yeah, just a couple of things. Charlotte is probably the most irrelevant franchise in the whole NBA. And before today, I probably knew grand total like 3 players on this team, if I'm being honest. You got Devontae Graham. He was good this year. He was good for them. He was surprised. He arguably should have won most improved player of the year. He finished with 18.2 points a game for them. He was huge. He had a big improvement, but that went to Brandon Ingram, of course. Um, but if we just look at this team, I thought Terry Rozier was going to be all star because he came off that he got this contract with
All star.
no, but think about it. When he was coming from Boston, he averaged like 20 points a game in that playoff run. And then you thinking, all right, now he's going to
It was not
Charlotte.
20 points. It was more like 16 points. It was not 20.
Well, I
Jason Tatum
mean,
was the only one that averaged 20.
well, he was dropping 20-point games in the playoffs, and he looked like all right, this guy, he looked pretty nice. And then I thought going to Charlotte, all right, now this could be his team, and going forward, they could try and build something. They have a point guard, but he just was disappointed in Charlotte. Um, but in terms of like them getting free agents, no one's coming to Charlotte. Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's horrible. It's cold, and you're talking about those guys getting Rondo and Trez. Rondo and Trez, they in LA. They not leaving LA to go to
No.
North Carolina to play for a bad team. So I don't. They on contenders right now. I don't see them leaving LA for a bad team. Finish might scrape the 9 seed, 8 seed in the East and get sweep from the Bucks or the Nets or something like that. They do have a lot of cap space, so they could possibly overpay a guy, just to get him to come here. That's the only way I could see them getting somebody if they overpay for him to come there. But I don't, sort of what they did with Tony Parker. They overpaid him and he came, but I don't know what they could do. The only thing they could hope to do is get lucky with that pick, and hopefully that whoever they pick is turned out to be like a cornerstone, like sort of like an AD or like a Zion type of player. When they come into the league. I don't see anything else what this team can do right now.
That's what I'm saying. I think Rondo and Trez. I think those guys will go to the highest bidder. I don't think Rondo really cares.
No,
Rondo's at the point where he wants to make the most money now. Trez at the point. Trez doesn't care right now. Trez wants to make the most money,
yeah,
and I
maybe
think
true.
I think he's leaving the Clippers. I think Rondo's going to who's going to throw him the most money at Charlotte. If you're in Charlotte, you're a bad franchise. You don't have winning. The last time you probably win was with freak Muggsy Bogues. I don't like. So you're a terrible franchise. So I think you are that's just one of those teams where you just have to throw money at free
I
agents.
mean, if you
That's
like
why they
trade
throw
or
so much money
overpick
at
them, then
them.
maybe
You
like
have to overpay those guys. I think for the right price, I think they could get the Morris twin, Marcus Morris. I think Marcus Morris will go to Charlotte for the right price. I think a guy like Avery Bradley will go to Charlotte for the right price. I think a guy like Tristan Thompson will go to Charlotte for the right price. I
no.
like
I
those are
mean,
some
maybe.
free agents that they're going to go to the highest bidders. They're not guys who's going to be, because at this point anyone can win the NBA championship. It's no clear cut team that's going to win. So those guys, like, a championship is not guaranteed. You see more guys just trying to go after money nowadays, and those on guys that's going to be whose legacy is going to be built on championships. Some of those guys are just stuck in making money at this point in their career. So I think like some free agents like those will be good for Charlotte. But I'm just tired of them bringing in all these young players. Like, if you look at their starting lineup, Devontae Graham, these guys are 24. Terry Rozier is 24. PJ Washington is 22. Miles Bridges is 23. Cody Zeller is about 26. That style lineup, you're not the Boston Celtics. You're not going to be winning games with that young style lineup, that young inexperienced style lineup, and none of those guys are stars. The problem is Charlotte is that team where they're bad, but they're just not as terrible. So they never get a top 3 pick. They always end up with like the 8th or 9th pick, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
just another guy. But like you say, this time they have the number 3 pick. Maybe you could get a Wiseman, but I don't know. Jordan, it's a bad look what Jordan is doing with this team. I don't like. I know he's trying. He's trying, but these players are just not turning on whoever he brings in. Something going on with that franchise. I don't know
Yes.
how you fix it. Like I say, the ceiling for this team is the 7th seed. You're not getting better than the 7th seed in Charlotte. I don't see for the next 7 years. So maybe
Yeah.
if you bring in those guys, you might sniff the 8th seed at best. But other than that, Charlotte, I don't know. It's not much hope for y'all.
Yeah, they definitely need to get lucky in this draft. I feel like they have the cap space, so they might get lucky. And yeah, I generally don't like overpaying a guy because then once you overpay him, you're stuck with that bad contract. We see what's going on inside of Philly right now, so that could come back to hurt you. But I mean, you're talking like a guy like Rondo. If they tell Rondo,
Short
12,
deals.
yeah,
Short deals.
I get maybe, if they give Rondo like 12 million, then yeah, I could see Rondo going there for sure. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like Jordan will be the one to give someone like Trez a max deal just to get him to come there. That's just how it is.
Yeah, that's how the history has been. But like I say, short deals, maybe 1 or 2 years. Rondo, Trez, maybe a Morris. Even you get Avery Bradley or Dragic, just bring in some veterans and just see what they can do with this team. Because those young guys you got, it ain't working, Jordan. Just stop it. I don't know. I think Jordan loves to draft because you don't ever see them trading a pick either. When was the last time Charlotte traded a pick? Like they don't ever do that. Like I don't know.